What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Life So Crazy. It's the Vongola Boss here. Well, now that the dust has settled on what is undeniably one of the biggest flops of 2024 so far, I want to come back to touch on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I got my rants off on this game back when it released, but I saved this topic in the event the worst case scenario for Rocksteady Studios came to pass. And with the latest updates and rumors surrounding the game and the studio, that outcome is looking more and more likely. The writing on the wall is not good. This game going the way of Marvel's Avengers is not a matter of if, but when. And while the timetable for that is still up in the air, I want to speak on an aspect of this game and its legacy that people gave the benefit of the doubt for earlier this year. Because although the shock from the unceremonious dispatching of the Arkham Justice League has come and gone, there's a grim reality to be considered that still stings even if you refuse to deny this game exists. But I'll speak more on that later. Last month, we got reports of just how poorly this game performed as the CEO and CFO of Warner Bros. Shared in an earnings call that their latest game resulted in a $200 million loss.
Damn!
And now we're getting more information on just how troubled the development for this game was. I mean, if the 9 years of development, the delay after the extremely poor reception to the State of Play gameplay reveal, and the broken, buggy, content-lacking launch didn't clue you in, well, this article from Bloomberg by Jason Schreier will enlighten you. Behind the scenes, according to interviews with nearly 24 people who requested anonymity because they weren't authorized to speak to the press, the development of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was a tumultuous affair, plagued by countless delays. The game failed for a number of reasons, said the people, including a constantly shifting vision, a culture of rigid perfectionism, and a genre pivot that was ill-suited for the studio. Let's also add chasing trends that have long overstayed their welcome, putting out a game your core fan base wasn't asking for, and this little gremlin over here didn't do y'all any favors. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Rocksteady went from an industry pioneer to following trends. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. A true loss of identity because, don't get it twisted, everything about this game was a complete shift from what made Rocksteady a notable studio, all done in an effort to capitalize on the success of the 2016 Suicide Squad movie and to get a piece of the live service gaming pie. Rocksteady's venture into uncharted territory, as you can imagine, was ripe with challenges and setbacks. For one, they required more hands on deck, so they expanded by over half of the studio's original size. What's crazy is their new team of over 250 people doesn't hold a candle to the numbers the teams that work on Destiny and other popular live service games boast. And yet, it's reported that management found dealing with the increase cumbersome. Other reasons why this game was stuck in development limbo is the vision for the game kept shifting throughout development, which led to things like the primary form of combat becoming gun-oriented rather than melee-focused. The change left some staff members wondering why protagonists such as Captain Boomerang, known for fighting with his namesake weapon, would suddenly pivot to gunplay.
Yeah, that's the same way I feel. That's what I've been trying to tell everybody.
If I had a dime for every time I saw someone mention this. But no, looter shooter go brrr. And this is the real shocker from all this, that being just how much Sefton Hill negatively impacted this game. A lot of people were caping for the co-founders of Rocksteady with the belief that they did the best they could with the hand they were dealt, and eventually gave up on a sinking ship as they left 2 years before the game released. But with this new information, it seems the case was Sefton Hill was moving like the Joker and bounced right before all hell broke loose, leaving Harley and the Joker goons, aka Rocksteady, to deal with the aftermath. Now, maybe it's just damage control and some of Rocksteady's employees are trying to throw some fire Hill's way, because up until this point, he's largely avoided scrutiny. Either way, they did direct this project and that can't be ignored. The article talks on how the approach that Sefton Hill applied to the Arkham games also hindered progress on Kill the Justice League. Many ideas and large portions of the game script were tossed, and the perfectionist in Hill combined with the inexperience with live service games led to large delays and a decrease in team morale. Also, Hill was instrumental to the story's direction and the deaths of the Justice League. Yes, Arkham Bros, Sefton Hill was allowed to cook, and this FAS baby is the result of that. I saw this from the community page of M Enterprises, a YouTuber that makes dope DC content. So yes, the story was Sefton Hill's baby. The broad strokes, including post-launch, were nailed down between Infinity War and Endgame at a time when they dominated pop culture, and it takes clear inspiration from those films. The heroes lose, the credits roll, only for them to come back and get their revenge. That's really it. It's not the boogeyman so many people have blown it up to be. I've heard that Hill was a hardliner for leaving the audience shocked at the end of the game at the heroes seemingly having all died, and multiple Rocksteady developers I've spoken to characterize themselves as begging him to leave more clues regarding the Justice League's inevitable return to help stymie some of the predictable backlash. Yeah, like the Joker, you couldn't tell this man nothing. The goons were like, hey boss, maybe we shouldn't go through with this. Maybe we should leave some clues, or better yet, say this doesn't take place in the Arkhamverse. And he wasn't having it. Dog, even Scarecrow himself couldn't concoct a toxin as potent as the unadulterated BS Hill was on. Talk about missing the assignment. Man's done took all the wrong lessons from Infinity War and Endgame. Sure, switch it up and have the heroes lose with the twist being a ragtag group of criminals save the day. But the first place you messed up on is failing to make the heroes losing believable. Thanos smoking on that Avengers pack made plenty of sense. Harley Quinn and her neurochemistry degree getting one over on Batman does not. And no, I'm not trying to hear excuses about them being clones. Let me just move on, because I'm starting to recall this game's story after I had pushed it to the innermost recesses of my mind. Rocksteady had also cultivated a culture filled with toxic positivity, where criticism was discouraged and growing concerns echoed by many who worked on the project were ignored. And since the show must go on, the project limped along with the expectation that all the pieces would somehow come together at the end. And I have to mention this because this made me laugh. Despite the internal concerns among frontline workers, executives from Warner Bros. Kept reviewing demonstrations of the game and sending laudatory feedback, praising the graphics and saying they expected Suicide Squad to become a billion-dollar franchise.
The idiocy! Y'all smoking crack!
And to put the nail in the coffin for the tumultuous development cycle, the studio's co-founders left in the fall of 2022. Once Walker and Hill formed their new studio, 100 Star Games, they've told potential recruits from Rocksteady that they would have the opportunity to make a game free of the mandates and pressures from a corporation like Warner Bros. All I'm saying is, if Hill is actually as responsible for this game as the article depicts it, he managed to do a great job skirting off any criticism up until now, because statements like this, on top of making the beloved Arkham games, are a really solid shield. The story and direction of the game aside, we already know Warner Bros. Has learned very little from this failure, as they've chosen to double down on more live service games in the future. But the question now is, what's next for Rocksteady? Because the game they spent nearly a decade working on sold poorly, and we're in a time filled with layoffs and studio closures that show no signs of stopping. Even studios that put out successful games are having to let people go. Now, regarding the aforementioned rumors, it's circulating online now that Warner Bros. Is looking to pull the plug on Rocksteady, or at the very least downsize. We have this tweet from the YouTuber Vara Dark sharing insider information. And call me biased, but my analytics show that some of the people who watch my channel also watch hers, so I'm gonna say she's valid. While I do not usually speak on insider information I receive, I think this is one we have all pieced together ourselves. Warner Bros. Is internally talking about closing Rocksteady or having their 250 employees after Suicide Squad kills the Justice League's bomb. Just last month, David Zaslav announced it lost them over 200 million EBITDA year over year. I have heavily covered Warner Bros. Games and Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League since release because of what it represented for Warner Bros. And a beloved franchise. When it was greenlit, we were seeing a giant scramble for studios to create live service games, and this one released too late, plus the content did not resonate with players. Rocksteady Studios co-founders and studio heads also departed the studio back in 2022. Rocksteady is a shell of the company it used to be, and we saw this happen recently with Embracer Group and Volition, a company that had 30 years of experience under their belt, and it sounds as though Warner Bros. Is planning to pull the plug on Rocksteady too. They have no other games publicly announced, and there does not seem to be any confidence in them anymore. Even back in 2016, we got the Batman Arkham VR game that was developed by Rocksteady, and the new Batman Arkham Shadow VR game is being done by Camouflage. Only time will tell. Doesn't seem like the future is very bright for Rocksteady. Light one up for the Rocksteady Pack Watch. On top of this, it was announced this past week that the game would no longer be receiving weekly developer updates, a sign that inspires the utmost confidence in its player base. You know how this goes. First, no more weekly updates. Then, no more in-game updates. Then, the 90% off fire sale. Then delistment, and then a proper burial in piss. So is the cycle of the flopped live service game. And wait a second, it just dawned on me. Has this game received its offline mode yet? Yeah, for the fans of this game, that's tough. I know they said they had 1 year support post-launch planned out, but how likely are they to see that to fruition? Y'all let me know down in the comments section because it's looking like they may not even get there. The Discount Joker DLC, or the Giggler as I've seen people call him, didn't spark life back into the game to the degree it needed to. And if Joker couldn't do that, I don't see how other characters they have in the pipeline could, especially after seeing the leaks of the next playable character. My God. By the time it's all said and done, Rocksteady could win an award for most clapped character designs in a game. Now, from this article from Game Informer, many of Rocksteady's employees are helping to develop a director's cut for Hogwarts Legacy, while the studio is working to pitch a new single-player game. Is it Arkham related? Will they even get the chance? Do we even want this studio, which has lost its essence, to even try again? I digress. I know people said and showed evidence that points to the Brainwash League being clones, and I've heard online leaks with new dialogue from League members like The Flash hinting towards their return. I've said I had no interest in this game outside of the story because while live service just ain't for me, the return to a single player game featuring one of the newly introduced Justice League members is a thing I know many, including myself, would be up for. That was prior to them violating the heroes and Arkham lore the way they did. The only reason why I still pay even a modicum of attention to this game is to see if and how they will bring the league back. And with this game's struggles, it's looking like even if they had it planned, it doesn't seem like they will actually fulfill that. Walk with me through the scenario of Rocksteady closing or the game shutting down early and not bringing the league back. I know many like to pretend this game doesn't exist, but it's kinda wild to me that it could potentially end on a note where the league is killed off, and that's that. As it stands, Arkham Batman went through everything in the Arkham games just to have Harley put one through his dome. Some real nasty work. And this game is gonna go down in the books as one of the biggest falls from grace for a game studio in gaming history. But that's gonna be it for this deeper look into what went into Suicide Squad's Kill the Justice League's development. Tell me what you think about it all down in the comments section. And if you're new, stick around. Leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Check out the 2 videos shown up on the screen to see more Life So Crazy. It's been the Vongola Boss, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.